Hello, welcome to the Drunken Upholsterer. Today we're going to be talking about a drop-in seat in an antique chair, but all the principles apply to any drop-in seat type of chair and even other types of seats. So you should get a lot out of this video. All right, let's get started. That's a good start. Now, we've got this drop-in seat, goes in like this, and you can see it's in tough shape because it's an old chair. Chair's been around for a long time, and I could show you a few things about it that will help identify a chair if it's an antique or a reproduction or a new one or whatever. But this one's a real one, and part of the way you could tell is if you look at how these are put together. You can see there's some pins here that are holding these frame members in, and normally you would never get that on a modern chair. You might get it on a reproduction, but generally not on a modern chair. And if you look at the bottom stretcher, this piece here, you can see that it's a half dovetail, and you never get that on a modern chair. You'd only get that on an antique or some other really well-made chair. You can see inside here how the leg post comes right up, and the seat is actually going to sit on top of that. This piece here, it's not plywood. A lot of them are plywood today. And if you look close at the way this is done, it's not squared off. It's actually a bevel, which can be on any dated chair, but it's obviously a good chair. It does that for viewing purposes, so it doesn't look so thick and heavy. So those are a few things that you can use to help identify the age of the particular chair you do have. Now on the drop-in seat, you can see it's been around for a while. Many repairs have been done to it. Got these corner brackets put in, and lots of times you're always doing something to it to make it work. And for me this time, I had to add a piece here. You could see that it was broken out, and I added a piece here, and even though that piece was there was a big gap behind it. And what I like to do is mix just with regular wood glue sawdust, and you mix it up good. You get a good amount, and you just put it in there, fill in those big gaps. You can use wood putty, but this works good. It'll accept the staple, and I've done it in several places on this particular one. And whenever you do a drop-in, you always want to make sure that it's going to fit after you get the fabric on it. Sometimes when you're using leather, vinyl, or a thick fabric, it won't drop back in. And I've seen them split chairs ramming those seats back in. So, and I've also had to take it apart, cut it down so I make some space, reupholster it, put it back in. So it's best to check before you get started. This one, you can see there's good motion. There's a decent gap, so we should be fine. We're using a thin fabric today, and it should go right back in there perfectly. Okay, so let's get to the cutting board. Welcome back to the Drunken Upholsterer. We're going to do some cutting now for this drop-in seats or a slip seat. And I have a piece here of scrap that was hanging around. Looks like it's going to work perfectly. So I don't even have to cut the burlap, the synthetic burlap. You're just going to basically do the same size as this, as the seat. So, got a roller cutter. Just cut it right off and you're good to go. So we're good with that. If you don't, you can just put it on there and mark it with a magic marker or something like that. So we've got that, and we're going to need, this would be our cane brick or our dust cover. Same idea. We need just enough to go around it a little bit. So just follow the outline, or mark the outline, and you'll be good. So you overcut it a little bit because chances are you're gonna fold it under. At least that's how I do mine. So that gives us that, and a little bit more padding for the top. Same idea. It's nice having a roller cutter. I recommend it, highly recommend it. Saves time. This is a Olfa 45mm one. Works great. Love them. So, you know, we got our padding, we've got the other stuff, and now we've got to do a little fabric cutting. Do a little trash there. And we're going to be using this shell pattern today. And you're not going to put this on there and just cut out a square, because you got to go over it. You got to make sure you got plenty extra. So I'm going to just do a quick measure to make sure I've got enough. And we got to figure we're going to have padding on there. And if it was me at home, I'd make sure that I had all the padding and everything on it and then make the cut. But at this point, let's see, we're like 24, 25, 26, which is going to get us, what, about up here? And you can follow the pattern. And that looks pretty good there. There. Easy and quick. That should be plenty. You want to give yourself plenty to work with so you can get it around there, so at least an inch or two, and you can pull on it. Okay, so we're pretty well cut. We're going to put some webbing on here, and that'll be the next thing we do. All right, now we are going to get a little strength, and then we will upholster this. Drop in, slip seat, whatever you want to call it. Good. Okay, we're using a 3/8" leg staple for this. And if I was doing a sofa or a big chair or something where there's a long expanse, I'd probably use a 1/2" leg staple. But for this little seat, that should be plenty strong. So you put some staples in, fold it over, and then gets that good and snug. This is a stretcher, and you're going to stretch it. It's kind of hard, one person, but that's the way you can do it. Fold it back. Put 5 or 6 staples in each time. You should be plenty strong. Oh, we ran out. Look at that. But I'm all set. Give it a stretch. Got to be careful when you're stretching it if you don't have kids, because you may have a problem. There we go. Now you're going to weave it through. One goes over, one goes under. Good thing about the synthetic webbing and the synthetic burlap, it doesn't rot, so it's going to last a long time, a lot longer than the other, and you know, even the jute lasts quite a long time. Nice little job. There, that ought to hold someone up. So now you put the burlap on, and that basically keeps the padding from slipping through and going down in between the webbing. Sometimes people just web it, and they put the webbing close and don't even use burlap, but I don't like that. And this goes on, doesn't have to be real tight, just good and snug. There, get the corners. Okay. Trim some of the excess off of there. There we go. That should hold everything up rather nicely. It looks nice from the bottom. All right, our first layer of padding. I want to make sure it gets to the edges, but not too far over, because as we recall, it's got to fit into that chair. So just attach it on the corner so it doesn't walk off on you. And then the final Dacron covering. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that should be good. Goes pretty quickly when you have it cut already. And what do I do with my fabric? Oh, here we go. All right, you want to make sure if you got a pattern, it's going in the right direction. This is the shell pattern. You want this curve to go up. There's no really centering you got to worry about in this particular pattern. Just want to make sure that it's going straight. So you got, you know, the lines are good. And I cut plenty of fabric. So kind of eyeball it. Got to watch out for the steel plates they put on there, the steel reinforcement. And you kind of, does it look good? Yeah, it looks good straight. So you work it up with your hand. See a little hump there. There, that's better. So it's looking good. And you go back, did the front first, did the back. But I'm going back to the front because it never gets pulled tight enough. So you got to go back. Give it a little bit more. And you notice that I don't go right to the end, because what's going to happen, we're going to make a fold there. So now we'll do the sides. Pull it up decently snug. And on the side, the way I'm going to do these corners, I'm going all the way up. Right to the corner. A little trimming over here. This piece is a little big. Cut some off the back. A little oversized, but it's always better having too much than too little. They don't make fabric stretchers, unfortunately. Okay, same idea. Work it up. And make sure you don't staple your finger. Looks like I hit the steel. I did. Okay, we'll give it a trim. Okay, whenever you do a fold on the fabric, you want it to be folding over the sides. So the side always goes in first, and then you fold the back over, or you're folding the front over. There's other ways of doing a corner. You can just pull it over. Sometimes you can do it without even folding it if it stretches and goes good. But this way here, we're going to pull that in, bring this over. I like to tap it down a little, get a good edge there. Yep, that's good. The back is easier. Because you're folding the back into a bigger space. Now on the front, you're folding it into a smaller space. So you've got to do a couple of folds. So you're stapled right up to the end. Staple it to the end. Make kind of a partial fold, which takes up some of the fabric. And that allows you then to get the fold down there. Does anybody hear that air compressor? Maybe we ought to take an air compressor break, eh? All right, we want to be professional here. All right, we're back from our air compressor break. Someday we'll have a studio, do it right and proper. So we need you to subscribe and follow us, okay? So we're doing the front, and we got that extra fold in there. And we pull it down. If you don't get the extra fold in, it wants to go off the edge. You see how that'll go off the edge there? You can't have that. Now you got to bunch it up and make a mess. So it's kind of nice if you make that extra fold and then pull it over there. And see, get you a decent, nice little corner there. All right, so we're good. Do a little trimming. Looks good. Looks nice. Put the dust cover on. Not that it's too dusty, but you never know. So I like to fold it under. Don't necessarily have to, but for me, kind of strengthens it. And we've got to watch out for that metal underneath. Those metal braces, can't staple through them. Same thing, I'm stopping short of the end because I'm going to fold that under. Now I'll do the front. Pull that up. Okay, fold the sides. A little bit of fabric hanging out, we don't want that. Got to get around that piece of metal there. I think I'm good. We're out again. Use a lot of staples. Already used 1.5. All right. Looks good. Almost looks like this one I pulled too tight. But, well, let's see. We got to see if it fits in the chair now. All right. Now we're going to see if it fits. And you can see I pulled it a little too tight on these 2 spots here, maybe 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these staples out and then loosen the fabric so that it goes up a little bit and gets rid of those bumps. The other way you could do is pull the rest of it down tight like all of them. So there's 2 ways of doing it. You just want to make sure that that looks good, but hopefully this is going to fit right in. Yeah, that's good. That should work. Hopefully the customer's happy with that. Whoa! Oh, it's fine. All right. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and have a great week.